Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Wednesday edition of Inside the 20 with myself and Keith Niebuhr. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Keith and I will do our absolute best to get as much recruiting intel to you inside the 20-minute mark. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Keith Niebuhr. Keith, how about you, big dog?
What's going on, man?
It's been a busy week. Got some five stars visiting Auburn today. Mike Matthews, the number 3 wide receiver in the country, will be at Auburn. So will the number 1 offensive tackle, according to On 3. Jonathan Daniels will be at Auburn. A couple of big offensive guys visiting today. But today, Keith, we're going to take a look at the defensive side. We're going to take a look at our 5 biggest wants, needs for Auburn. I'm going off of ranking. I'm going off of who wants the kid. I'm going off of Auburn's chances, and I think I speak for both of us when I'm saying these. This is kind of our system. We're going to name our top 5. We did our top 5 on offense on Monday. If you missed that show, go back and check us out. Before we get started on defense, Keith, we gotta sell some cars right now, big dog. Yeah. Everybody looking for a new or used vehicle, call Mr. Caleb Schofield, 334-531-0996. He's there in LaGrange, Georgia, off Lafayette Parkway at Mike Patton Auto, man. Fantastic selection of new and used vehicles, new Ford, Lincoln, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Honda. Fantastic used car lot. All those used cars have to pass a multi-point inspection before they even put them on the lot. Then they back those used cars with a free 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. All the new vehicles come with a free lifetime powertrain warranty, unlimited time, unlimited mileage on that. And if you're not in the market for a car, but you know somebody who is, and you want to make a quick $300, send them to Caleb. He'll send you that $300, man. Caleb Schofield with Mike Patton Auto in LaGrange, Georgia. Give Caleb a call, 334-531-0996. Keith, we did offense on Monday. I was looking back through my notes. Can you, off the top of your head, remember who we had? We had.
Don't put me on the spot here.
I think I can. It just because we had Cam Coleman at 1.
Daniel Calhoun.
We had 3 offensive linemen. Casey Poe, Jonathan Daniels, I believe, was in that group.
Correct.
And then Kevin Riley, the running back from Tuscaloosa.
Correct.
Those were our top 5 offensive.
Good 5.
Offensive guys. Today we're going to go defensive guys, top 5 guys. Keith and I, we've just kind of collaborated on this list. And listen, a lot of these are interchangeable. You could probably find other guys to put in on this list. But as of today, Keith, these are just our opinions. Top 5 defensive guys, wants, needs. Again, we're looking at wants, needs, Auburn's chances, ranking, who else wants the guys.
No pie in the sky. I mean, look, Auburn's involved with some 5 stars, and they're probably going to get some official visits, but maybe those guys don't have Auburn quite high enough just yet on their board, their personal board, for us to include them in here. So realistic best chances as of right now, the top guys.
I completely agree. And I think one of the guys that comes to mind when you were saying that, Keith, KJ Bolden, the 5-star defensive back from Beaufort, Georgia, number 1 player in the state. He visited Auburn, I think, March the 16th, and likely will come back for an official visit. We would expect him to, at least. He's got a great relationship with Zach Etheridge. But at the end of the day, we feel like Auburn might have better chances with these 5 guys. Is that a good way to put it?
I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to start at number 5, Keith. Big defensive lineman, defensive end, Justin Green.
Yeah. Lawrenceville, Georgia, Mountain View High School, I think, is where he's at. Big kid. Looks good on the hoof, looked good in camp. He's visited Auburn. And, he's going to officially visit Auburn. In fact, let's see, I can tell you right now, he's got 4 schools that he knows he's going to get officials to. And Auburn's one of them. Georgia's one. I believe South Carolina's one, and LSU's one. He's eyeing a late summer commitment, and he plans to return to Auburn on April 8th for A-Day. So, again, top 100 national recruit, 4-star kid. High on Auburn. They're going to get one of his 4 official visits. Auburn's high on him. So, and obviously position of great need. Yep. Hugh Freeze, like all great coaches, knows you got to build a program from the inside out. A lot of this starts on the offensive and defensive lines. And for the purposes of today, where we're focusing on defense, you're going hard onto the defensive line, heavy onto the defensive line. And Justin Green, certainly one of the top targets for Auburn. Not only on the defensive line, but on the defensive side of the ball, and really just overall, just very good, very, very good prospect. Now, right now, South Carolina leads in the on-3 recruiting prediction machine, but Auburn right there. Georgia hanging around. We don't know how hard they're going to push. We don't know where he is on their board, but we do believe he is high on Auburn's board, and the interest is mutual. So we both love this guy.
Yeah, I love the defense. I love defensive lineman. He's listed at 6'4", 260, probably going to gain some weight, move inside. I love a big tackle, a very big athletic tackle. He could probably play the defensive end, the Colby Wooden defensive end too, but he visited for that big junior day in January. He came back for practice, and he will be back for the A-Day game and potentially an official visit. We would expect him to. That's high interest in Auburn for a top 100 kid, number 11 defensive lineman in the country. Definitely an easy pick for us. Yeah. Coming in at number 4, we're going to move to the defensive backfield. We both love Jalen Crawford, another top 100 kid.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got everything that Auburn's sort of looking for in a defensive back and a cornerback. 6 foot 180, so good height. It's not 6'2", but good height, good enough. 180 pounds. We have him at on-3 as the number 23 cornerback in the country, but in the on-3 industry ranking, which, has a algorithm that also factors in the other recruiting sites, he's up to number 14, the number 14 cornerback in the country, number 23 recruit in the state of Georgia. LSU is the big favorite in the RPM, the on-3 recruiting prediction machine. But Auburn's surging big. And so with him, 3 schools that sort of stand out are Auburn, LSU, and Clemson, and 3 schools that have done great job with defensive backs, probably LSU better than any, but Auburn really strong in recent years. And he's visited Auburn 3 times. He's visited LSU 3 times. I think he's been to Clemson twice. So those are really the 3 schools to watch right now. But Jeffrey, you've been at Auburn. You've run into him more than once, I believe. It seems like Auburn is kind of surging with him. So it feels like he's moving up their board and they're moving up his board at the same time. And so that's a pretty good confluence of events there. I'm curious what your take is, but that's kind of where I see things.
I'm wondering how LSU has an 83% chance in the on-3 RPM. I was just looking at things. I don't know if anybody's put in a prediction to LSU, but honestly, I think if LSU's Auburn's got to be there. Really,
you think Auburn leads, right? I mean,
if somebody put in a prediction to Auburn, I would not argue with that. As a matter of fact, if somebody asked me right now, Jalen Crawford, gun to head, where do you think he's going to sign? I would say Auburn. I really do. I think he was blown away by his most recent visit. And he has a fantastic relationship with Zach Etheridge, Antonio White, his friend. Auburn's pursuing him. Mike Matthews, the 5-star wide receiver, who's visiting. All 3 of those guys have talked about maybe playing together at the next level. Of course, Keith, we've seen that story many times before, and it very rarely plays out.
Yeah.
It very rarely plays out. But
different schools have different needs, and every kid has different needs and wants. That's why.
Was I wrong in saying he was a top 100 guy?
He's just outside of the top 100.
122.
Some of the recruiting sites have him in the top 100. Some have him just outside. So
122.
Yeah, he's a 4-star guy. I mean, and Auburn's going to sign a lot of DBs this class. We know that. You've got some defensive backs on the roster right now that aren't going to be with the team too much longer because they're going to be playing in the NFL. And so they've got to continually replenish that secondary. And he's certainly emerged as a top target.
Moving up to number 3, we definitely have a top 100 guy here. He's an in-state player. He is a defensive lineman. We love the defensive lineman. Jeremiah Beeman from Parker High School in Birmingham, Alabama. The number 93 overall recruit, Keith. You like him?
Well, yeah. I mean, Cole Pinkston, who works with us, went and saw the kid play last year and said he was absolutely dominant in the playoff game. And so, he's a big kid. I'm trying to look up some things on him as we're talking right now. I had his page in an advantage, but 6'3.5". 250, still growing, number 93 recruit in the country for the on-3 industry ranking, number 12 defensive lineman. I mean, you start getting into the top 20 defensive linemen in the country, and you're talking about major studs, okay? Number 6 recruit in the state of Alabama. Auburn leads in the on-3 recruiting prediction machine, but Alabama's right there. Clemson, which has Nick Eason, Auburn's former defensive line coach, who obviously got to know Beeman when he was at Auburn. Georgia's involved. There's a lot of look, it's a defensive lineman who's an elite player, which means you're going to have all the top programs in the country after him. It's an absolute feeding frenzy for these guys. But, he's visited Auburn. He likes Auburn. He seems to be connecting with Jeremy Garrett, the defensive line coach. He's high on Hugh Freeze. And he's a high priority, not just for us. Now, this isn't just our list. I guarantee if we walk through the halls of Auburn football offices right now, he's somewhere high on a board, okay? Like real high, like maybe number one high. And so, they've got a shot. The key is going to be keep getting him back more and more, official visit, and then kind of just seeing how I don't know. I don't know for sure who Auburn's going to have to beat out other than Bama. But when Bama's involved, it's going to be difficult, right? So you've got to figure out a way to navigate through that. But look, he's a top target for Auburn, and he's very high on Auburn too. It feels like, Jeffrey, it's going to be a tough get, but not an impossible get. There's some guys where we're looking at, we're like, no chance. Come on, give me a break. But this guy, realistic chance, but a difficult realistic chance.
I completely agree.
Bama, he's in Birmingham, Bama. I mean, how many times we've seen this movie? And even when Auburn's had guys committed before, who was the big kid that ended up going in the top 10 of the draft, plays for the Jets now. He was committed to the defensive lineman that was committed to Auburn for a while, took one visit to Alabama and flipped. I mean, so.
Oh, was it Chapman?
No, the big defensive lineman, of course, sometimes we forget. But, it's just, it's always going to be a challenge in state. So it's up to this staff to kind of change that narrative and start moving through those battles again.
Staying in state with number 2. And we could probably make a case for the 1 and 2 being changed. Hell, you could probably make a case for any of these 5 guys being number 1. But number 2 right now, Joseph Phillips, the outside linebacker, Jack from Tuskegee, right up the road. We talked about Beeman being right down the road from Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Well, you've got Joseph Phillips right down the road from Auburn and Tuskegee. And I think overwhelming favorite right now, Auburn.
Yeah, and these are the kind of guys that Auburn can no longer afford to lose. Right. Because when you started losing these guys, you started losing kind of the program, quite frankly. He's in your backyard. He's really good. He's 6'3", 235. So he's got this NFL frame already. Everybody's after him, but he's visited Auburn more than anywhere. So that's good. It doesn't always work out. It didn't work out with Rashaan Evans, the edge who signed with Alabama. It didn't work out with a guy like Justin Ross, the receiver from Phoenix City Central, right down the road.
Reuben Foster.
What's that?
Reuben Foster.
Reuben Foster. There you go. But it works with a lot of these guys. And so he's visiting a lot. It's going well. He's really clicking with the staff. He knows he's a priority. He's enjoyed watching practice. I mean, there's really no red flags in this recruitment. He wants to take other visits. He wants to see other schools. But he also told you, Jeffrey, or either you or Cole Pinkston, that, hey, I'll probably wait till I take my officials, but I'd like to commit it soon. So who knows which direction he's going to go in terms of when he'll commit, but Auburn's certainly at the top of his list. Now, I know Auburn fans want to get him on board, Jeffrey. They want to get him on board right now and not have him take other visits. The problem with that is if that happens, and then at the end of the cycle, and he's saying, man, I never really visited anywhere. Maybe I need to start taking some visits. Well, then you have that sugar rush of the visit in October, November.
That's right.
You'd rather have the kid have that in June, and then, as opposed to late in the year, closer to the cycle where rash decisions could be made sort of quick. So I would think, there's no harm in him going to other schools. Hey, look, if he goes to these other schools and decides he likes them better than Auburn, then so be it. But you don't always look. I'm not sure it's a good thing if a kid commits without having seen too many other places, because you want him to fall in love with Auburn and still be in love with Auburn after he visits these other places. So I don't know if any of that made sense, but
very good.
Way. And our guess is probably by this summer, if things go as planned, there's a good chance he could be an Auburn commitment by midsummer, let's say.
He's one of those guys that I would be shocked if he didn't sign with Auburn. Oh, police sirens are coming to get me. I guess they finally found me. Number 1 on our list is probably not a surprise to many people who follow Auburn recruiting, but Demarcus Riddick, the linebacker from Chilton County in Alabama, who is committed to Georgia. He's visited Auburn. I think Mr. Cole Pinkston even has put in a flip prediction for Demarcus.
Yeah, that's risky.
It's risky.
Not risky. Gutsy, I guess. Is
gutsy. There you go. I just like you.
It's not.
Well, predicting a kid to flip from Georgia this early in the process, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to argue with him. I think it's a gutsy pick, and Alabama is still in this.
That's what's holding me back.
Yeah.
From,
but Auburn does have the lack of linebackers working for it. He's right down the road. He's visited several times. Keith, this guy he's the number 3 player.
Number 4 player in the state.
There you go.
Number 4 linebacker in the country. Number 39 overall prospect in the country, Jeff. I mean,
another top 100 guy.
Yeah, I mean, he committed to Georgia. I want to say it looks like last November, and at that time, it was the week the week Brian Harsin was fired.
Oh,
and Auburn, I don't think was even really in the picture for him.
I remember when this kid committed, I was like, "Who?"
Yeah,
because Auburn hadn't been recruiting him.
Yeah, and this staff's all over. So this is the kind of win we're talking about. I mean, it's great to any recruiting win is significant, but he's committed to Georgia. So you're talking about a school that's won 2 straight national titles. And by the way, Jeffrey, I hate to break it to everybody, they think they got a good shot over there, maybe contending for a third one in a row. So it's not, this is an elite program recruiting at the highest level. So getting him to flip from Georgia would be significant. Okay, then you have Alabama also involved. So you got one side you're dealing with Georgia, the other side you're trying to fend off Bama too. So it's a 3-prong and a 3-horse race here. But here's the good news: if you win this battle, that's a major message being sent to everybody else across the Southeast. Auburn's back and to be reckoned with on the recruiting trail. You want to be in these battles. You just don't want to lose them anymore. It wasn't that long ago where Auburn was winning its share of recruiting battles like this. Kerryon Johnson, Montrevious Adams, Big Cat Bryant, Carl Lawson, Derek Brown. Doesn't get much bigger than that one. You held off Alabama and Georgia for him. Owen Popo. So Auburn has won these battles before. Now you've just got some momentum. You flipped some guys the last cycle. Kay and Lee, the standout cornerback from Ohio State, huge win. Getting a DB from Ohio State is significant. That is a great DB school. Then you flip Keldrick Falk, the big defensive end, Jack linebacker from FSU. Significant win. You flipped another defensive back, Sylvester Smith from Tennessee. But these guys, this is the top level here. Alabama and Georgia, committed to Georgia. You flip them, huge win. And he's really good, okay? So he's talking up Auburn. So you feel like, look, they've got a legit shot. He's going to keep visiting. They're going to get an official visit. He's feeling at home. It's right down the road. So there's a lot of things working in Auburn's favor, but there's also, like we've mentioned, there's some things not working in its favor too. I feel like if the hardest part will be to get him to decommit. Once that happens, then all bets are off. Then Auburn's absolutely got a shot, but it's not going to be easy. There's no question about it, but he's worth the effort. For the people the last few years, Jeffrey, that would be on our boards and say, I don't know, man, it's not worth the effort. We may not get this guy. You got to put in the effort. You're not going to get all these guys. You may get 10% of these elite guys, but guess what? If you win 2 out of 30 with a guy like this, that's better than 0 out of 30, right? So it's time to, Auburn has decided it's time to quit going for the low-hanging fruit, and it's time to battle with the big boys again. And that's the only way you're going to get back on top.
Absolutely. All these guys would be statement recruiting wins for Auburn, and I just noticed of those 5 guys, 3 are in-state. Hell, the top 3 we named, Keith, in-state kids, the other 2 guys being Georgia guys, Alabama and Georgia. We talk about winning its share in the state, and it would go a long way in getting these 3 guys, or at least, if Auburn was to get 3 of the 5 guys from offense that we listed on Monday, if Auburn was to get 3 of the 5 guys from the defensive list we just listed, that's a pretty damn good, impressive start to the class, or at least a foundation for both sides of the football. All right, one more time goes, folks. Justin Green, Jalen Crawford, Jeremiah Beeman, Joe Phillips, and Demarcus Riddick are 5 on the defensive guy. Hey, and we might have a different list a month from now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I put out my 10 most wanted recruits in the state of Georgia for Auburn today, and it's 3 or 4 different guys than just 4 weeks ago, because guys move up the board, guys move down the board, guys like Nikar, a receiver, says, Hey, I'm well, let me tell you about his last few weeks. Just he visited Auburn in January, said, I'm coming back. 3 weeks later, he tweeted, I'm done with my recruitment. I'm 100% locked in with Georgia. And then last week he visited Florida. So things change in a hurry in recruiting, okay? So, yes, this list could very well change. But again, some of these pie in the sky guys might not be pie in the sky guys much longer. Auburn could make big moves. I mean, if KJ Bolden's one guy you and I are watching, 5-star safety, if he in fact comes back for an official visit, then maybe he's a guy that we consider moving up a little bit higher on our personal list. So
there you go.
There's always moving and shaking going on.
Hey, good stuff, Keith. We will be back Friday. We'll be back Thursday night, actually, with a more in-depth recruiting show, Auburn Live recruiting show. Jay Head, Mr. Cole Pinkston both join us, and we'll go a little bit more in depth. One more time for Caleb Schofield, man. Anybody looking for a new or used car, give Caleb a call there in LaGrange, Georgia, 334-531-0996. Take a moment real quick, folks, to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. That would be a big help for us. We would really appreciate it. Hit those notifications so you can get instant notifications when we upload each and every video. Hey, we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Keith, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.